So as Roman introduced and Natalie introduced, we're going to talk about lead generation after COVID and what comes next. And Roman already did a great job of introducing myself. But just so you know who ClickDealer is, you might know as more of a dating company and some other verticals. But we were founded in 2012. We are a global marketing company with offices in Europe, Asia, and North America. We work with over 10,000 partners on both the supply and demand side. And we've spent over $1 million in rewarding our partners. And we'll talk about that with a little announcement at the end of this presentation. In 2018, we launched our own tracking platform that's proprietary to ClickDealer, and it's the hub of the network. It's really what makes us hum and makes us work as well as we do. In 2019, we launched our SmartLink, which is focused in dating. It's been very exciting for us, and it's going to be something you're going to want to go to our booth and talk to our team about. Our SmartLink that we currently have, and then there's a sneak new product launch that we're going to do during this conference that will talk about a new SmartLink we're launching for dating. If you go by our booth and you talk to our team, you'll find out more there. And in 2019, what we're going to talk about today is our lead generation project and team that we launched and we're very excited about. Roman already introduced myself. I'm the head of business development or international business development at ClickDealer. The short part of that, since Roman already introduced me, is that I manage a lot of our external partnerships, a big focus on our affiliate program, but also in the last year, a big focus on our advertiser clients and our partners in the North American lead generation market. So what are we talking about today? Well, on the agenda today, we're going to keep it short and sweet and very to the point with some numbers and some facts. We're going to quickly set the board with what lead generation is. I know a lot of you are coming from the adult or CAM space, and so I want to make sure that we're all talking about the same thing. We're going to talk about what we predicted in 2020 and what we were right about and what we were wrong about. We're going to talk about the market impact, looking ahead at some of the numbers, and then looking at finding opportunity and being flexible in a COVID landscape when it comes to lead generation. Now, I realize it might not be as sexy for everybody when we've got obviously a lot of adult, a lot of chat, a lot of CAM, but lead generation can be the bread and butter of your campaigns. It can be something that you can pivot to. If there's no better example, it's what ClickDealer is doing right now. We've diversified, we continue to diversify, and 2020 was pretty good to us for lead generation. So when we talk about lead generation, the key thing we're talking about here is driving real sales for real services. So we're going to talk about organic or paid traffic that's coming from email, native, or search. And we're talking about leads that are qualified by forms or call centers. And we're talking about actual leads that are going for sales or appointments or even information that's being mailed out to the customer. So we're talking about your traditional lead generation and how it can impact you. Now, it might not sound exciting, so here's why you should care. Statista reported that the US digital ad spend will double from 108 billion to over 200 billion by the year 2023. That's a huge piece of the pie that we're all looking to take part of. So when you're looking at an opportunity, it might not sound sexy, but $200 billion sounds pretty sexy to me. We know that inbound marketing costs are much higher, much lower than outbound marketing costs. This is even more so with COVID going on, and maybe you can't connect with your customer the same way you could before. And in this market where there's less customers walking through your door physically, lead buyers are hungrier than ever to get your business. There's no longer going to the hardware store on a day-to-day basis or say meeting with your home servicer to get that business. This all comes with a caveat, and this is where it's a little bit scary and why you have to think ahead. Last year, a report showed that up to 45% of internet users between 15 and 25 are using ad blockers. This drops a little bit to the next age group from 26 to 35, where they're about 42% are using ad blockers. And the reason why I bring that up is when we talk about white hat lead generation, we're talking about that next opportunity. So as people are blocking ads, how can you be working in a white hat space or a clean space that's still getting that market penetration and getting through to the users you want to target? And that's really important. That's why we find it interesting. We're adapting to that market. Now, of course, COVID-19 is what a lot of people are speaking about today. I don't want to waste time too much talking about what COVID-19 is and how we adapted to it, but really, this is what we thought. We thought that in-home appointments were going to decline. So that's an impact on home services where we're having, roofs replaced, or maybe you're getting your HVAC system replaced. We definitely thought there'd be a decline there. We thought that there'd be a pivot from home services to financial services, meaning that people were more likely to spend money on planning for the future with insurance for car insurance, maybe a home financing, versus spending money on getting their kitchen redone or maybe their office redone. We definitely thought, and we definitely did see, email restrictions and spam reporting skyrocket with more people at home, maybe unemployed, looking through their email more. We definitely saw an impact on our mailers, and the restrictions and regulations were there. We also predicted that there would be an impact to call centers and the workflow that they were experiencing, both in person and their workflow going to their center, but also the higher influx of calls coming through. And the last prediction that we made was that there'd be a decline in yearly revenue and sales. And I can tell you we were wrong on most of these. So I'm excited to share with you how 2020 actually went when we're talking about lead generation. So the first thing is we did see a slight decline for in-home reliant services in Q2, but we saw a huge bounce back in Q3 and Q4 to record levels for us, where companies adapted. They were able to use drones. They were able to do virtual appointments. Just like we are doing here today with this conference, people were able to use Zoom and other technologies to connect with their customer at home and still be able to do those appointments. When it came to home servicing and actually doing the projects or doing the services, they were then able to follow different regulations. So we were very surprised and happy that there was an adaptability here. And obviously, while we saw financial grow, we actually saw 151% growth at home services. And the number one reason, and it might be surprising, is that as people spent more time at home, they were able to actually see that they were more dissatisfied with their home. So I mentioned office remodeling and home and kitchen, but as people spent the last year at home or working from home or unemployed, people found that they were more dissatisfied with their living space than they ever had been before. There was no longer that 9 to 5 escape getting out of the house where they could go to the office, maybe they're going out for dinner more often. Now they're using their kitchen more. They're maybe stuck at home with their kids, so they're in this workspace with their family. And now they're wanting to spend the money to adapt. I mean, I'm in my living room right now still, which I've been using as my office for the last year. And I just can't wait to get some renovations done in here. So I definitely can empathize with that. And there's a huge growth. Up to 57% of Americans invested or looked into home renovations during the first 3 months of the COVID-19 impact. That's a huge amount of people spending money that we didn't think they were going to have. We also saw a huge growth in the second half for home services, 62% growth in business and the value of leads sold, which was just a skyrocketed past the predictions we had. The one thing that we were right about and continues to be right is the volatility. We obviously, with large outbreaks, it definitely impacts the regulations, whether there's lockdown orders, whether new projects can be done, whether people are looking for health insurance. And we expect this to continue in 2021. There were two things that additionally impacted us that we weren't sure about. Obviously, the US election was a huge impact. It skyrocketed cost of traffic in a way that nothing else really has recently. But then with the resolution of the election, we've now seen a reinvestment in health insurance and other insurances where people are spending money under a Biden administration that they weren't before. And that's just, the impact that we're seeing directly. The second thing is how call centers adapted. And we mentioned that home services adapted by doing virtual appointments, but we were able to see call centers, even though they did get that higher demand of volume, they're able to adapt by working remotely, working at home. And there were some kinks with some of our partners and from some of the issues that we heard from partners, but definitely call centers were able to adapt in a way that really surpassed our expectations. Now, a big key to what we talked about was being able to adapt in these volatile situations. And that's an ongoing situation that we're seeing, where maybe financial services might drop off, or you would see home services, let's say in a state like Texas or a state like Florida, where now you have to adapt to something different because maybe there's a lockdown order, maybe there's an outbreak that's restricting your advertising, what you're making money on. And the biggest key for us is people being able to be adaptable and knowing how to cross market what they're selling. So this is just something we put together, and it's something that we use all the time when we're talking to our publishers, but even to our buyers, is how to cross-sell those leads and where they become more valuable. If you've spent the money on Facebook to build out an audience, or you've built an email list, or maybe you're running native, then you want to be able to cross-sell these leads because you're doubling down your ROI. It's simple, and it doesn't take a genius to work out. When a homeowner can't travel, you can be targeting them for financial offers. You can target them for insurance. When a student can't work, what are they looking for? Are they looking for loans? Are they looking for debt resolution? And being able to pivot and stay nimble is super important when we're talking about the volatile times of COVID-19. And that's how we were able to pivot from home services to finances, and then pivot right back into home service and continue to grow. So at the beginning of 2020, where home services and home renovation were a big part of our lead generation team, now we have an additional finance because we're able to pivot to it strongly, prepare our affiliates for it, and come out the other side stronger. So let's talk about what we think is going to come next. And this is definitely important for us, and the predictions that we have for where we think things are going to change as we move into the future and as we move into 2021. We've talked about the volatility. We've talked about the impact of COVID-19 and how it changed things in an unexpected way. And while we know, and it'd be silly of us for us to say we know exactly what's going to happen next, especially amid COVID, we have to definitely think about how we can plan for it. So the first thing that we've seen is that there's this emerging traffic channel, and emerging traffic channels are making an impact on lead generation. Obviously, as TikTok matures as a platform, as we see stuff like Clubhouse or Parler as it came through this year, as we see other platforms develop in the US, we can target those users. Obviously, the Gen Z audience is a little bit too young for us at this point, but that millennial age group is definitely a huge part of what we can target and using these emerging traffic channels. And I know that millennials is something that a panel later today is going to talk about, and that's a huge part of the market that we're talking about when it comes to lead generation. Those homeowners, those young entrepreneurs, those young CEOs who are looking to spend money and have the disposable income, and we can hit them up through some of these new channels. Obviously, Facebook is going to continue to be dominant. Email is going to continue to be dominant and native, but there are opportunities to scratch the surface of that $200 billion pie that we already talked about. The second thing is that consumers are going to continue to undertake home improvement projects at a massive rate. As I already mentioned, up to 57% of homeowners were putting an emphasis on this in 2020, despite being unemployed or despite the financial volatility of society. People are spending money on home renovations, and this is not expected to drop. We are expecting to see this pattern grow and continue to grow through the next few years. As people are spending money on their homes, they're upgrading maybe instead of moving. And it's definitely something that if you're able to get in and grow your markets or get in the lead generation space, you can take advantage of. This is a natural progression. This is a change in consumer habits that you can actually cash in on. And as we continue to go through and we see home renovation and home services grow, we're seeing two key areas that we expect to see grow in 2021, and for two different reasons. Kitchen and bathroom remodeling, we expect to continue to scale, and home security. And the reason is, as people go back to work, as people leave their homes, these are two aspects that they're going to want to do. Obviously, renovating your kitchen or bathroom while you're at home, while you're working from home, is a difficult project. Now people are able to do it as they get back to the office, as they leave. Maybe they can take a vacation soon as we go through Q3 and Q4 of this year. And that means people are going to spend money on those things that really dissatisfied them. And that is the kitchen, that is the bathroom. It's where people are spending a lot of their day, either in the bathroom or in the kitchen. And it's definitely something to keep in mind. The second one is home security. People have had a peace of mind. They've been living at home for most of the last year, especially I know as here in North America. And so home security comes into play two things. Number one, you're suddenly not home, so you want those video cameras on the outside. But let's remember those pets that everyone adopted and took care of during COVID. People are going to want home security on the inside too. And that's an area where we can see with either the Vivint or the ADTs of the world that are focused on, home automation, those home camera systems for both security, but also peace of mind. And that's something huge to think about as we look at 2021 and where growth can come. And don't just take my word for it. The home service investment from technology and software companies and cross-vertical investment is continuing to grow. In Q4 this year, we saw Porch Group in the US. They purchased Homeowners of America and 4 subsidiaries for up to $100 million. That's going to close in Q2 of this year. It's just another example, and it's a big deal. They own companies like iRoofer and other home service companies. And the important thing here is when you see companies that are continuing to invest, they're growing their market share, they're cross investing in different verticals. It's something important for us to look at. And lastly, as at ClickDealer, we're going to be launching a few new verticals. Home services will continue to grow. We're going to be launching our legal solutions. So mass tort and class action lawsuits continue to be a massive driver in the US space, and home security. And we're going to focus on that growth here in 2021. And that brings me basically to the conclusion of where we are. I know we'll have some questions at the end. I have a little promotion we're going to play for you. One thing we mentioned at the start was that ClickDealer's invested a lot in their partners and our rewards. And we do have an exciting competition going on right now, which might incentivize you to join and work with us, either with our SmartLink and adult and CAMs or with our lead generation. So one of the things that we are doing as I play this video, and you won't hear any sound, but I'll just explain to you, it's our ClickDealer Nitro competition. There's a lot of money, a lot of prizes, up to $500,000 in prizes that we're giving back to our partners, and an opportunity to win a Porsche, which we're very excited about. So between now and June 18th, if you sign up with ClickDealer, whether you work with our SmartLink or our adult or our CAM or sweepstakes or lead generation, you have an opportunity to win up to $500,000 worth of prizes and work with ClickDealer and win a Porsche, which we think is pretty exciting. So as I said, that brings us to the end of our presentation. You can visit us in our presenting booth. We have quite a few team members here to help you, or you can check us out at clickdealer.com. And again, I look forward to answering your question. Thank you guys for having me here today.
Henry, thanks a lot for our presentation. And now we're going to Q&A section. So Roman, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was making notes while you talk. Yeah, exciting and interesting, to be honest with you, like sincerely. And what I understood is that you're mainly focusing on the US market. First of all, am I correct?
Yeah, it's definitely, the US market is pretty much the most established for 2 reasons, Roman. Number one, it's the population. So you can target one country with a massive population. And it's the disposable income that we see. Europe and South America are definitely opportunities in lead generation that we're exploring. But obviously, as you go across Europe, you have different regulations per country, you have smaller market segments, and that's a huge impact on what you want to invest in. So the US is first and foremost our biggest opportunity, but we do see countries like Germany, the United Kingdom, France, and Spain as big opportunities in the future as well.
Another question I wanted you to answer is that, do you have many affiliates that already making the switch to lead gen offers that have never been working with that kind of offers before and now see certain success?
We definitely do. And what we've seen is 2 types of affiliates. One is the affiliate that's been in the space for 4 or 5 years. Maybe they're tired of getting accounts banned. Maybe the burnout of creating new campaigns every few months or every few weeks or every few days is just increasing burnout for them. And so they've come to a natural life cycle. And those of us on the network side all understand that affiliates only stay as an affiliate for so long before they want to become a business owner, before they want to launch their own products, before they want to do something different. And that's one side of what we're trying to capture. And number 2 is the affiliates that we're pitching to and we're going to and saying, hey, here's an opportunity to build out something evergreen. Maybe it's something organic, and you can sit back and you can watch it grow. And by the time you're done with your other campaigns and maybe you get to that burnout phase, you have an established business. So we definitely see people that are doing thousands of leads a day and doing quite a bit of revenue every month on lead generation that we hadn't seen before.
Speaking of establishing a solid business, white hat business that has the potential to exist for many years ahead, I see it as a complex business and complex funnel, and it involves a lot of skills, and that's a proper marketing. Do you have any initiative to probably educate your potential affiliates on marketing in general and on how to run lead gen in particular?
Yeah, we definitely do. I mean, our affiliate managers are all trained specifically for lead generation. We do a number of different training, whether it's on the traffic side, the funnel side, or on the product side, so they understand to help you the best. We see our affiliate managers as an extension of our affiliates teams. But just to add to that, we've done a huge amount of investment in the last 24 months into lead generation, and we're looking to make big investments into technology solutions to help our affiliates continue to scale. And one of the things that's exciting about doing it at a company like ClickDealer is we have that security of knowing we're an established company since 2012, and we've got the technology, the know-how, and the team that can make it happen. So you're exactly right, Roman. It's more complicated. It takes a little bit more time, but if you have the right people around you to help you succeed as an affiliate, I think that's half the battle already done.
Right, and last question from my side here is that do you think that more and more businesses, like traditional businesses, are finally going to make their transition to lead gen via affiliate marketing model?
I think you're definitely going to see that transition. I had an interesting conversation yesterday actually with someone who was talking about a boxing brand that they were working with, and a boxing brand who sold gloves around the world, but they weren't doing anything to do with affiliates. So they were just paying for brand awareness without any results. So you're paying basically for nothing. Working with affiliates and paying on leads, especially in lead generation, means you're actually paying for something. You're paying for a lead that's coming through. So I think there's a huge market there for connecting and embracing traditional businesses because they can see an actual return on investment. They can see the analytics behind it, especially companies that maybe rely on radio or television, where those metrics really, and that's my background, where those metrics really aren't as quantifiable as working with an affiliate and working in the lead generation space. So yes, definitely, I think they're going to see that transition continue to grow.
I really wish we had more time to speak really briefly. Lastly, I know that I already said that's going to be my last one, but one more. You generate leads now. Any plans to generate actual sales for those businesses?
Definitely. I mean, some of our products are appointment setting. We're actually building out our own product lines and our own products in the US market throughout this year. And we'll be launching some exciting stuff through ClickDealer and through some other brands that we're hoping to launch this year. So I can't tell you too much, Roman, but definitely if you're interested, there's a lot of exciting stuff. I want to tell you everything, but all I can tell you is that the next time I talk to this conference, we'll have some big, exciting new developments in lead generation. And I mean, if we're spending our money there, it's a good idea that some of you guys should follow us.
Sounds exciting. And Natalia, can you check our chat if we have any more questions to talk to Henry a bit more?
So basically there is one question from Morris. How does push notification ad format perform on those types of offers?
I would compare it to how we look at email traffic. And the reason why I say that, it might be a bit off key, is your push network and how you're driving those users and those leads, it depends on how those people opted in and what their intent is. So if you're just buying generic push notification traffic, just like if you were to buy generic email data without knowing how they opted in or knowing the users and their demographics, I would say it's not going to perform well at all. You're not going to get good front end metrics, and you're for sure not going to have good back end metrics, even if they opt in. So I think if you're building out your own push notifications through maybe your own native placements or your own organic websites, yes, push notifications can work exceptionally well. But it really just depends on how you built out and how you've had those people opt into those notifications to get the most out of it. And I think that can be said for a lot of verticals, but where we're looking at lead generation, where quality over quantity is important, because the higher CPA, the higher the quality of the lead, the better for the back end buyer. I would say it's really, really important to know why those people are getting those notifications and how they opted in.